Welcome to Quarantiki, number 14. My God, eventually this little broadcast will be old enough to drink. What are we going to do then?
I don't know.
Probably throw it a party?
Yeah.
It's usually what we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully by then we can throw it a party.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not in just a few weeks. It's only 7 weeks away. Yeah, probably not.
Sad.
But, you know, if there's any chance of that happening, wear a freaking mask, okay? Actually, I actually wanted to wear this mask because it's actually cocktail themed, which is kind of cool. So it's got like little cocktail olives and stuff and glasses and that sort of thing on it, made by one of our dear friends.
Yosa.
Yosa, yeah.
I'll link to her mask making Etsy page.
Yeah, so we're going to do a Quarantiki that is themed. It's what the doctor ordered, because why not? All right, seems like a good theme to do.
Okay.
But first and foremost, we have this dear bottle of Angostura 1919, which has sadly a tiny, tiny bit of 1919. There's not enough here to make a cocktail with. So what do you do when you get down to this last little dreg in your bottles and you don't know? I mean, you certainly, one option is to just knock it back, right? I mean, we can do that, but we're not going to, because there's this thing that people do. And I've taken to doing it as well. So here is a nice little decanter. And this is also inherited from mom and dad. So this decanter has a series of different rums in it that, as we've gotten down to the last little dregs of bottles, we just poured in. And the rum, this is a custom blend. There will never be anything like this.
It is constantly changing.
Which, you know, that might be good. It might be bad. I don't know that this is constantly changing and it's the only one of its kind. But this process of doing this and pouring out a little bit of this rum, adding a little back in, that sort of thing, is commonly known as creating an infinity bottle, because this bottle will continue to exist for infinity and beyond. Okay, wait, no. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to shake this up just a tad, mix those flavors around, and then this just sits on the shelf. And you can use this rum for just about anything. Keep some understanding of what rums are in here so that you know what to do with it. So if a recipe calls for a dark rum and you put mostly light rums in this probably wouldn't work. This is actually mostly lighter rums, but a couple of dark rums in there. So this is sort of a medium. It's not too funky. The Trinidad rum that we just put in there from Angostura is a pretty clean column still rum. So I would be happy with using this for anything that called for a lightly aged rum or a medium aged rum, particularly something that was column stilled. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're just going to pour a little of this off. We're going to go 1/2 ounce of this. Goes in here. And 1/2 ounce goes in here. And we just have a celebratory welcome to our 14th Quarantiki little drink here. This goes to you. But this is not just that rum, by the way. That was not just a 1/2 ounce. These aren't that small of shot glasses. There's a couple of other things in here. So cheers.
Cheers.
Aloha. Oh, that's
nice.
That is quite nice.
It's got a bunch of different layers on it.
Yeah, so there's only 3 things in this cocktail. This is a little bit of grenadine. It is Jack Rose, not Jack Rose.
The
grenadine, Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby grenadine.
That's not right either. Maybe it is. Anyway, it's the grenadine that I use as the base for my grenadine syrups. And a little bit of Catoctin Creek brandy, and then a little bit of the rum from the infinity bottle, all nicely together. And down at the bottom of this, there's a couple of gelatinized coconut slabs in here. So there we go. So
cheers.
Cheers. That is kind of tasty. It's nice and, well, it is kind of warming, which maybe that's not the right thing, because once again, we're over 90 degrees here in DC. We've got a heat warning. Life is not so happy, and tomorrow it's supposed to be even hotter. It's okay, I'm working from home and inside, so it'll all be fine.
Elisa.
Elisa, did we get it right this time? Please, please. If not, I'm just going to have to drink more. Okay, I'm going to have to drink more, regardless of whether or not I get it right. But hopefully we're getting it right. Okay, so, ta-da. Now, what the doctor ordered. On the menu of Don the Beachcombers restaurant in Palm Springs in 1953 was a drink called the Dr. Funk. Now, if you know anything about Tiki, or you've listened to several of these broadcasts, you probably have picked up on the fact that while Tiki seems to be this faux Polynesian kind of thing, all of its drinks are from the Caribbean. I'm not sure why Polynesia is that way and the Caribbean is that way, but you know, that's how it goes. All right, so most of the drinks come from the Caribbean, or variations on the Caribbean drinks, particularly that holy trinity of rum, lime, and sugar. The Dr. Funk, the drink that we're focusing on tonight, actually comes from the South Pacific. So Robert Louis Stevenson, his doctor was a guy by the name of Bernard Funk. No kidding, Bernard Funk. And Bernard Funk was physician to Stevenson and several other individuals. And one of the things that he prescribed as a cure-all or a curative was lemonade spiked with a heavy punch of absinthe. So that was the sort of potion, as it were, that the Dr. Funk is based on. And of course, Robert Louis Stevenson at the time was in Samoa, and so we have this connection to, right, Polynesia, Caribbean, right? Okay, so so that's where the Dr. Funk comes from. It comes from this very simple lime or lemon, sugar, and absinthe. Now, okay, you can make what is essentially a daiquiri using those three ingredients, but the absinthe will completely and utterly overpower any traces of the lime and the sugar. So as a consequence, you can't just do that as your cocktail. Well, you can if you really like absinthe, but in that case, just drink it straight or with a little water. So the Dr. Funk, 53, Don the Beachcombers restaurant in, what did I say, Palm Springs? Palm Springs, yes. So that's what we're going to do this evening. Now, part of the reason why I said, what did the doctor order, is because the Dr. Funk has been changed and modified and shows up at various different menus of various different tiki restaurants and bars through the years. And so the second drink we're going to do is the same Dr. Funk, but instead of the Don Beachcombers version from 53, we're going to do the Smugglers Cove version, or the Martin Kate version of that cocktail. And then we're going to go and do a slightly different variation, which is called the Dr. Fong, which Jeff Beachbum Berry notes in his book, Sippin' Safari, I think it is. It's not Potions of the Caribbean, must be Sippin' Safari. And that is pointing out that a number of different restaurants hired bartenders away or tried to recreate the concoctions from Don the Beachcomber. And this is one of their takes on the Dr. Funk, and it's called the Dr. Wong. So we're going to do 3 cocktails. They all start with the word doctor, and they're actually really pretty different cocktails, which is kind of interesting and surprising. So, all right, first we're going to go classic 1953, the Dr. Funk from Don the Beachcomber. Now, this is an actual shaken drink, which is a little surprising because most of Don Beachcomber's early drinks were all blended. So in order to do this, we once again need a shaker tin. So there we go. To this, we are going to add 1/2 ounce of grenadine. That's Kahlua. There's my grenadine right here. Once again, this is not your high fructose corn syrup, bright red grenadine that you could get from the store. This is a combination of a craft cocktail grenadine, a homemade grenadine, and a little bit of a pomegranate liqueur because, well, grenadine is supposed to be a pomegranate liqueur. So, all right, there we go. So, ½ ounce grenadine. 1/2 ounce grenadine. Close that up. Next, we're going to go with the lime juice. So we've got 3/4 ounce of lime juice. Got my lime juice right here. Jack Rudy, that's right. Jack Rudy grenadine, not Jack Ruby grenadine, because Jack Ruby is a bad fellow. So, all right. There we go, lime juice. Absinthe, 1 teaspoon of absinthe. So what are we going to do? We are going to go with our local distillery, Mount Defiance, and their Absinthe Superior. Here is that. This is a truly, truly fine absinthe, near as I can tell. I don't have a whole lot of experience with absinthe, but this is quite tasty and much better than some of the other absinthes that I've tried. Which isn't saying much because I haven't had a whole lot, but all right. So, okay, there's a ½ teaspoon, and there's the other ½ teaspoon. All right, so there's our absinthe. I got to tell you, a full teaspoon of Mount Defiance absinthe is going to be a lot of absinthe. You will taste the absinthe in this cocktail. We need 1.5 ounces of a light rum. Okay, what do we mean by light rum? Well, in this case, it's lightly aged, and we want the color to be right, so we're going with a relatively clear rum. So we're going to go with the Plantation 3-Star, which is a blend of rums from Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad. That's where you get the 3 stars from, is the 3 different rums there. All right, so we need what, 1.5 ounces? Is that what I said? I did, 1.5 ounces. This is, by the way, a fantastic mixing rum for all of your light rum needs. There is 1.5 ounces of your Plantation 3-Star. Okay, what are we going to do now? That's it. That's all there is to that. So what we're going to do is add some ice and shake with cubes. So here we go. Trusty scoop. There's 6-7 cubes go in there. Scoop can go back in. Close that styrofoam. Lid this up. Get that nice and tight. Shake. I can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time too. But it comes from being able to drink and shake at the same time. All right. Now, unlike a lot of other drinks where you would now strain this, this is actually going straight into a Pilsner glass. So, Pilsner glass. This goes straight in. Garnish as you will. So what we're going to do is we are just going to take one of these nifty little picks that we got recently. So we've got these little Tiki picks. Probably can't see that too much.
Bring it closer.
So my wife's going to bring that closer to the camera. It's all sticky on the bottom. And we're also going to put a sprig of mint in there.
There you go.
Going to get this mint, slap it around. Those oils. That goes in there. This guy goes in.
The pick is by?
I don't know who the pick. Oh, the pick is by the Dizzy Diva. That's who the pick is by, because we have a card right here to remind me of that. And you're asking me, wait, what's on that stupid little garnish that you have here? So this is a hollowed out lemon, and it is skewered through, believe it or not, a mini Swedish fish candy and a little bit of gelatinized coconut. Because it's Tiki. You can make a garnish out of freaking anything. So there we go. Gonna stick a straw in that. One straw. And there is our Dr. Funk. Oh, oh. Well, let me tell you, if you don't like absinthe, you're not going to like these cocktails. If you like absinthe, this is a brilliant cocktail. This is good. It's not,
Oh.
you would think, when I say if you like absinthe, you'll like this. That doesn't, you should not take that to mean this tastes only like absinthe, because it doesn't. This is a very layered drink. It is absinthe forward, but that is light. It is refreshing. There's a
nice.
hint of the rum in there. It's a little sweet. The absinthe comes through pretty strongly, but it doesn't take over the drink,
No,
which it
you can
easily
taste
could.
other things.
It easily could.
Yeah.
So there you go. 1953,
And
Don the Beachcomber, his Palm Spring restaurant. This is the Dr. Funk. Ta-da. One of the few tiki cocktails that actually has an origin in the South Pacific as opposed to the Caribbean. All right. There you go. That's probably maybe the last I see of that drink. I'm not sure. Is it
you
coming
want
back?
another sip?
I would like another sip, please. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Can I do that? All right.
Because then I'm going to take it away.
All right. Figures. If I'm lucky, I'm going to get the Swedish fish. Maybe.
No.
Okay, apparently not. I'm not going to get the Swedish fish. All right. So there we go.
Bag of the Swedish fish.
There's one drink tin out of the way. So that's the Dr. Funk as it was made in 1953. So the Dr. Funk goes through many, many different changes through the years, gets called a variety of different things. But when Martin Cate goes to put a classic cocktail on his menu, he's going to change it up just a tad. And so he goes back to the original Dr. Funk recipe and does a little twist on it. Now, so this is, so the one we just had was very, very absinthe forward in terms of its flavor profile. And part of that is because the rum that's used is a very clean rum. And so while it adds some backbone and adds some flavor to the cocktail, it does not compete with the absinthe particularly. And Martin, in his notes in Smuggler's Cove, the book, talks about needing a stronger bodied rum to actually hold up to the absinthe so that you taste more than just the absinthe. So this variation actually goes in a complete other direction in terms of the rum that's used in the cocktail. In fact, instead of using a nice, clean, light white rum, Martin's going to go the far opposite extreme and is going to use a black aged rum in his. So we'll see what we can do here. Dr. Funk, a la Martin Cate, a la Smuggler's Cove. All right, once again, we're going to start with grenadine. We're only going to go 1/4 ounce of the grenadine this time. I'm going to switch here, so 1/4 ounce. Oh, a little more. There we go. 1/4 ounce. Progressives, they're a pain in the neck. And they're sitting there, okay, 1/4 ounce? Is that a quarter? Wait, oh yeah, that's a 1/4 ounce. All right, so 1/4 ounce grenadine. 1/2 ounce of a rich Demerara syrup. So here we have some rich sugar syrup made with Demerara sugar. So 1/2 ounce, so I should have a grand total of a 3/4 ounce in this measure. And there we go. There's 3/4 of an ounce. 1/2 and a 1/4, 3/4. See, fractions are important. Who knew, right? All right, so we're going to put this in. Then we need a 1/2 ounce of lime juice, which seems a little light, but you'll understand in a moment. So 1/2 ounce lime juice. There we go, 1/2 ounce lime juice. Because Martin pairs the lime juice with lemon juice. So we've got a split here on our sours. So another 1/2 ounce of sour, which is going to take us all the way up to a full ounce of sour. Right, there we go. All right, so we've got a full ounce of sour going in. Now the absinthe, Martin also kicks the absinthe up just a tad. So we're going to go 1/4 ounce of the absinthe. Which, if you weren't using the black rum, the 1/4 ounce in the previous recipe would just completely take that over. Wow, I got just a little too much in there. We are not letting that go to waste. There we go. 1/4 ounce absinthe. Foop, in we go. 2 1/4 ounces black rum. Black pot still rum, and here we're going to go with the good old Pampero Anniversario. This is the rum, comes in a little leather pouch. This is just an awesome looking bottle, isn't it? I mean, this is just cool looking. No, don't buy your alcohol based on how cool the bottle is, but every once in a while you find something that's actually pretty good and it's in a nice bottle. Buy that. All right, so we got a 2 1/4 ounces. So this is a lot of rum here. It's a brand new bottle. It's a little on the heavy side. Slow pouring. Come on. Glub, 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 glub. For a speed pourer, man, this is not a very speedy pourer. Okay, so there's 2 ounces. And then we're going to go 1/4 ounce. Oh, shucks, that went a little hot too. So we're going to pour that off. There we go. 2 1/4 ounces of a black pot still rum. Yum, yum, yum. All right, so this, unlike the previous cocktail, is actually supposed to be blended, which means cocktail shaker was the wrong thing to put this in. Fortunately, I have a blender tin right here, so we're going to just swirl this around. This actually calls for 12 ounces of ice to go in this. So I'm going to go ahead and put the crushed ice in, and then I'm going to pour that over. All right. So that's about a 1.5 scoops there. So then, again, swirl, pour that in. Lovely brownish color. Ick. The Mount Defiance is not a particularly green absinthe, and so we're not getting a lot of green color on this. All right, so this is going to go to our spindle blender for about 5 seconds. That's all it's going to take. All right, and then this is going to go in a double rocks glass. So here's your double rocks glass. This one's from Tony on the Pier in Redondo Beach, California. So that just gets open poured, and then you get to about 3/4 of the way up the glass, and you want to grab a strainer, hold the ice back, because what you want to do is make sure you get all of the liquid out of here. There you go. All right, so that's good. You can add a little more crushed ice just to top that off if you want, which I'm going to do. And then the final difference is that Martin throws a little bit of club soda in this. And by a little, I mean 1 ounce, right? Is that 1 ounce? It is 1 ounce. My memory is getting better about at least cocktails. All right, so that's 1 ounce. 1 ounce club soda. Now, if I were following Martin's instructions absolutely to the letter, what I would have done is, while that was still in the blender, I would have added the, after it came out of the blender, I would add the club soda, swirl it around, and then pour into the glass. I forgot. So we're going to add it here, and then we're going to go ahead and take a bar spoon. A bar spoon that has Evil Cthulhu on the top, because, yeah, I got one of those. And then we're just going to do this a couple of times. I don't want to get too much more dilution off of here. Here we go. Another one of our fabulous picks from the Dizzy Diva. That's going to go in there. This is a dried pineapple, and there's 2 mini Swedish fish stuck there. So that's going to go there. Just stick that in. A nice glass straw goes right there. maybe a little mint would be good. Martin tends to garnish this with not palm fronds, tea plant fronds, or the fronds off of a pineapple. I happen to have neither available at the moment, so I'm not using either of those. So this is the Dr. Funk a la Martin Kate. Similar, but different, as you know, would befit 60 plus years of change.
We have a yours.
There is a reason why Martin Kate is known so well in the cocktail world. This is very clearly a Dr. Funk. If you put this side by side with the other, you would know that you were drinking two Dr. Funks. Honestly, I think this is more complex. There's much more stuff going on in that cocktail. This is lighter and brighter. So, sit out on the patio. Hey, bring that back. Bring that back. Sit out on the patio and drink one of the original Dr. Funks while it's hot and you're sweaty. Come inside, slide down to a nice mid-century chair, turn on some, I don't know, probably exotica music, grab a glass of the Smugglers Cove version of this Dr. Funk, and have a good night. Because this is some tasty stuff. Take a sip and just let it coat the mouth and let the flavors flow through. Because, yeah, I'm still tasting the first taste of this, and believe me, I want more. So I'm going to have some more. This is some very good stuff. Once again, the man knows what he's doing.
Hi, Yosa.
Yosa? Yosa, Yosa. I know you said Yosa, but...
You can't see it from here.
All right. So, okay. So we've made two Dr. Funks at this point. And I've had several sips of, or I've had 2 sips of that one and a couple of sips of the previous one. And my wife is now working on having finished this one.
I am not. I left you some.
She left me some. Okay, fine. A sip or two. And is now working on the second Dr. Funk. Okay. So, did mention that the Dr. Funk has gone by many different names, and some of those names have resulted in changes to the cocktail, particularly because Don Beach was very secretive about his cocktail recipes, and a lot of his bartenders didn't know exactly what was in them. So even when a rival company hired away a bartender from Don Beach, they didn't always get the recipes quite right, but they were close. They were in the same family, as it were. And so there's a whole lot of different variations of the Dr. Funk going out there. And if you look at cocktail menus from the time period when everyone was competing with Don Beach and Vic Bergeron, Trader Vic, you'll see all sorts of recipes for cocktails that start with Doctor. So Dr. Funk, Dr. Wong, Dr. Funky Wong, all sorts of different variations. Sometimes there would be, the name Doctor and something, and then in parentheses, a riff or a take on the Dr. Funk or something along those lines. So what we're going to do now is one of the tried and true variations of the Dr. Funk. And this was actually put together by bartenders, by at least one bartender that was a former bartender at Don Beach's Palm Springs restaurant, Don the Beachcombers, and was hired away to go to the Luau Club in Beverly Hills, right? Beverly Hills. So the Luau Club, Beverly Hills, needs to put together something that is kind of like the Dr. Funk, but doesn't have the recipe for the Dr. Funk. So this is what they came up with. So this is also a blended cocktail, so I don't need to use this. I'm going to remember this time to not put it in a cocktail shaker. So we're going to go with our blender tin. And the first ingredient is, in the Tiki tradition, a secret ingredient. Dun, dun, dun. So you've heard me say that there's a lot of different mixes. Some of these mixes are, just simply something like named after the person that put that mix together. Don's mix number 7, Don's spices number 2, Mario's number 5. Whatever. All right. So this is actually called the is it the Tonga mix? Tonga mix. Yes, Tonga mix. And I whipped up a batch of Tonga mix earlier today because, well, Tonga mix is really easy to mix up, as long as you have the right ingredients on hand. So I'm not going to use a lot of Tonga mix, so I didn't want to put a whole lot of it together. So here's a little bottle of the Tonga mix that I put together. And what is Tonga mix? Well, I'm going to tell you that what you want to do is either hop online or go buy one of Jeff Beachcomber's books or his app and find out exactly what proportions you should be doing this in. But this is grenadine and passion fruit juice. That's all it is. That is what Tonga mix is grenadine and passion fruit juice. But it matters what proportions you use, and it matters that you use a grenadine that is not a high fructose corn syrup. So here we have some homemade Tonga mix. We're going to use that as our base for our sweet here with a little bit of the sour because, well, passion fruit juice is not a particularly sweet juice. Okay, so we need a 1/2 ounce of that. Nice, 1/2 ounce. Boom. We need a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. If you have not figured it out by now, let me just tell you, if you ever get into making tiki drinks, you are going to find yourself a very good friend of whomever produces limes in your area, because you will go through a ton of limes. In our case, the best purveyor of limes in the area is one of our international markets. They're good quality limes. They tend to be, they are not picked when unripe, shipped, and taken forever to get here because they last a fairly long time on the shelf.
They're not the bags of limes that are kind of hard by the time you get them.
Yeah.
They have a huge quantity, and they're about half the price
of most of our major supermarket stores.
Yeah. So find where has the best limes and
buy a lot of them because you'll use them.
I buy 15 to 20 limes at a time.
Now, I am told, although I have not yet done this, that one of the things you can do is you can just take a passel of limes and toss them in the freezer. And then when you need them, you just pull them out, stick them in the refrigerator, let them defrost. And one of the nice things about that is, of course, the liquid inside them has frozen, creating ice crystals, which break up the membranes, which when the lime defrosts, it's all nice and squishy for you, so you actually get more juice out of it. Maybe true, I don't know, haven't done it, but at the same time, the ice creation may also do weird things to the juice itself that you get from that. So, haven't tried it yet, but I may have to do that the next time I throw a tiki party. Should there ever be another tiki party again? Please let there be another tiki party again. Okay, like the original Dr. Funk, not Martin Cates, but the original Dr. Funk, we're going to go with 1 teaspoon of our absinthe. So here is a 1/2 teaspoon. And here is another 1/2 teaspoon. Why am I doing these in 1/2 teaspoons? Super secret reason for doing it in 1/2 teaspoons. This is an ancient issue with tiki drinks, and it comes down to I couldn't find my 1 teaspoon measure. There you go. All right. So teaspoon absinthe, 1 ounce light rum. We're going to go with the plantation again. 1 ounce. So in this respect, this guy is looking an awful lot like the original Dr. Funk. The strange bit is the passion fruit in there, because the grenadine was in the original recipe, the lime juice is in the original recipe, the absinthe is in the original, the light rum is the same, but it's also not shaken. Yes, we have a question.
I do not like a lime. Can I use grapefruit or lemon instead?
It will certainly change the flavor of the cocktail, but there's no reason you can't. So I will see a couple of things. So in terms of what changes it will make, you've probably heard me say this before. Lemon tends to be more tart and bitter up front and then fades away very rapidly. Lime isn't quite as bitter up front, but it tends to stay through the entirety of the sip and the drink. Grapefruit, I really like grapefruit juice, but it's really hard to get white grapefruit juice, which was what the vast majority of these recipes were made with. If you go with pink or ruby red grapefruit, you're going to get a drink that is much sweeter, and so you're going to want to cut, well, not much sweeter, but some sweeter. So you're going to want to cut back on the sweetness of the sweet component. So maybe, you know, pull off like a 1/4 ounce or something along those lines. The grapefruit has, at least to my palate, I think the grapefruit is tartar up front and has about the same sort of lastingness of the lime, but it can be a little overpowering on that first taste. It's a great mixing sour, but it is easy to go overboard with the grapefruit. The other thing that's really nice with grapefruit, you see grapefruit used an awful lot in tiki cocktails that are spicy. When I say spicy in this case, I mean sort of the typical like Christmas spices, like allspice, nutmeg, and cinnamon. Those kinds of things pair incredibly well with grapefruit. If you don't believe me, some morning, slice yourself a grapefruit in half, sprinkle a little bit of sugar over the top, and then grate some nutmeg or some allspice over that, and then cut into it. Tasty, tasty stuff. All right, so here's our little itty bitty bit. So this is what, this is only about 2 ounces of liquor here that we've got. So we're going to add 3 ounces of crushed ice. So not a whole lot of crushed ice. All right. So I can even do that. Yeah, my eyeball was pretty good. Okay, so that's about 3 ounces crushed ice. And then that goes in the blender. Room zoom zoom.
Colleen says she sure hopes there'll be another tiki party.
There will be. It will happen.
Will you explain the difference between these?
It will happen. Oh, somebody asked about the difference between the Havana Clubs. I can do that. All right, so this needs to go in a glass, but we only got about 3 ounces of liquor in here. So we could put it in a Pilsner glass, but it would just disappear into the Pilsner glass. So we're going to go with something else. I'm going to go with a small little goblet. I really like these guys. These are pretty. These are the ones that I was using to make the Pearl Diver last week in. And we are going to pour this in, top with ice, so if we need to. This is a very light cocktail. That tiny little guy. You left me a little bit. Thank you very much, because that was darn tasty.
You will be making that again.
Yeah. You know, what the doctor is ordering is that I make more of these. So, you know, how bad is that? Not very. Okay, a little more in there. All right, so top that with some crushed ice. Common technique with tiki drinks you will find is ice will go in the shaker, ice will go in the mixing tin, whatever. It'll be poured into the cocktail glass or the tiki mug, and then they'll top it off with some crushed ice, some clean crushed ice. So that's just kind of the way it generally goes. I was expecting to put this into a Pilsner glass, wasn't paying attention, and as a consequence, I created this little guy here, which is one of our earlier picks, which is way too big for this poor little glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide the pineapple off into this guy, hang that over the edge like that. We need to go over here and get one of these, stick that in there. I've put mint in both of the other two, so what the heck, we're the same couple here, so we're going to just do a smaller version of this. I've already slapped this around, so the oils are essentially already coming out of this. We're going to stick that in there. There you go. Because, you know, garnish, it's a thing. Right? So there we go. Here is the Dr. Wong. Not a Dr. Funk, Dr. Wong. Now, clearly, this is going to taste a lot like the original Dr. Funk. but it's got passion fruit juice in it, so it's going to be different. All right, so let's give this a taste. Oh man, I gotta say the passion fruit juice up front really changes the front end of this cocktail amazingly. It's very different.
It changes the absinthe completely, almost.
Yeah. On the back end, though, there's almost nothing else there but the absinthe on the back end.
Yeah.
I get anise, licorice flavor on the back end entirely.
It's interesting because you get much more of the anise of absinthe in this one than any of the other two.
Right.
But your initial sip, you don't get as much.
Right. So it's kind of strange. It's like, wow, what is this? Oh my God, it's absinthe. This is kind of what you. It's like, this is yummy, and absinthe. Okay. So I like that. I think that I would borrow from Martin Cate's paid playbook and go with a darker, like a black rum, a pot still rum that's got just a little more to pair with that, so that the absinthe doesn't take over the back end. Yeah. So that's an interesting trio of cocktails we got there. All of them, the absinthe is certainly there. The second cocktail, the Martin Cate's Dr. Funk, I think is best at taming the absinthe without having it go away. The original Dr. Funk would probably be my second favorite, and third, the Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong. Dr. Wang is a much longer drink. Yeah, so here we go. Last taste of Martin Cate's Dr. Funk. There. So there's our 3 cocktails for the evening. But apparently, somebody asked me to talk about Havana Club,
Nancy.
right? Nancy asked about Havana Club.
And we have Carrie O'Brien on.
Hey, Carrie. Hi. Long time no see. All right. So let's talk Havana Club. So Havana Club was a brand of rum that was produced in Cuba. Right. Okay. And then along comes Castro. And Castro overthrows Batista. And not Batista the wrestler, Batista the evil president. Batista's a much better guy. Batista the wrestler is a much better guy. Anyway, when Castro takes over, or as the revolution is going on, a number of companies decided to flee Cuba. And one of those companies, or one of those families, was the family that owned Havana Club at the time. And they just up and moved lock, stock, and barrel. And when they did, they took with them the proprietary recipe for producing Havana Club brand rum. Jump forward a few years, and Bacardi comes along. And Bacardi is another company that used to produce in Cuba, but had already diversified by the time the revolution occurred, and had already moved most of their distilling facilities to Puerto Rico. So right now, Bacardi is primarily a Puerto Rican rum. But they went to the family, and pardon me, I wasn't prepared to answer this question, so I don't remember the name of the family. It may, in fact, be on the back of the bottle, but it's not. Okay, I'll have to look that up and maybe put it in the remarks, put it in the comments. So Bacardi buys the recipe and then uses Puerto Rican sugarcane and the stills that they have in Puerto Rico to produce this brand, which is known as Havana Club. And this is the Havana Club that is sold in the United States and nowhere else on the planet for the most part, because the Cuban government wanted to sell under Havana Club, and they retained the sugarcane and all of the stills. So they produced Havana Club. Here is a bottle of one type of Havana Club that is still produced in Cuba today by the same stills, using the same sugarcane as the original recipe from Havana Club.
But not necessarily the same recipe.
But not necessarily. This, however, doesn't necessarily have the same recipe. So, original recipe, original equipment and ingredients for the most part, near as we can tell. So this was so that Havana Club was oh God, what is the name of the company? Massive alcohol company. You'll know the name. Picard. Yeah, I'm totally drawing a blank here. Star will come up with the name of the company that actually owns this. But they produce this rum out of Cuba. They own the brand at this point. And there's a whole bunch of different Havana Clubs coming out of Cuba. There are, to the best of my knowledge, only 2 versions of the Havana Club coming out of Puerto Rico and produced by Bacardi. And there are a number of different lawsuits between these 2 companies as to who owns the right to produce rum under Havana Club. If you are almost anywhere else in the world and you are buying Havana Club rum, you are buying Cuban Havana Club rum because the United States has an embargo against Cuba. Briefly, very briefly, the embargo was lifted and we were able to get this Havana Club in the States. It's not where I got this bottle from, but I got it from Canada. But anyway, they are not the same rum. You can tell right off the bat. So there's your crystal clear signature of Bacardi, clear, almost like water rum. And here is your gold añejo rum produced by Havana Club. And you can tell that is a golden color that is nothing like, it's almost a hay or a straw color that doesn't look anything like the Havana Club from Bacardi. Different mouthfeel. This is a thicker, heavier rum than this. Even though near as I can tell, I think these 2 rums are actually aged about the same time span. And they are both 40% alcohol, so they're both 80 proof. So on surface, same age, same level of proof, but very, very different rums. This is clearly filtered. Clearly, get it? Clearly filtered. And this may have gone through some filtering, but probably not much.
We keep both.
We keep both on hand. This is a fine, it is a fine Puerto Rican rum. So when your recipes call for a clean, column still, lightly aged rum, I'm usually reaching for the Bacardi version of Havana Club. I can get it, it's cheap, and it's perfectly fine rum. I actually like it a little better than the Bacardi Superior, for which is probably its closest kin. I would use the Havana Clubs that I have more often, except that they're harder to get, and so I tend to use them for special occasions, and when I run a really nice daiquiri, I'll make them with my Havana Clubs, or I'll make them with something like Probitas, which is even more on the expensive side. This is actually not very expensive, it's just hard to get, because you can't get it here in the United States. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your questions about the difference between the 2 Havana Clubs. I'm going to stare at my wife and see if she wants me to say anything else about these 2. She's giving me the thumbs up, says I did an okay job. So there you go. Bacardi Havana Club, available here in the United States and frickin' nowhere else. And Cuban Havana Club, available the rest of the world. Yay! So once this is over, travel, buy Havana Club, give me a bottle. All right, see, there you go. I think that's it for another week of Quarantiki. I am certainly open to any other questions if anybody wants to ask anything. Let me see. Mom says, what vintage is your Cuban rum? I see what you're doing here, Mom. So, okay, so this is the Añejo Oro. So this is, what I think it's 5-year, right? Yes, this is their 5-year rum. Now, see, during that brief period of time where tourists were allowed to go to Cuba, my mom and her husband love us. So they actually knew that maybe a gift of some rum would make sense for us. And so as a consequence,
Not balanced here.
There we go. They brought us back this. This is a triple barrel aged rum. So 3 different types of barrels are used to make this Havana Club. This is the Selección Maestros. This, shot glasses are under here. This is a fantastic rum. This is the 2018 limited edition release of the Selección Maestros. Love this rum. It is really hard to get here in the United States, as you might expect. And so I don't tend to use it for making cocktails.
But if you're going to bring it off the shelf, we're doing a shot.
Yeah, so we're not doing a shot. We're sipping this. So,
Right. Sorry.
yeah. All right. So that goes over there. What the heck? No, I'm going to put these away because those look like shot glasses. We're going to go this way, and I'm going to free pour probably about 1/2 to 3/4 of an ounce. It's not that I'm cheap with this, but this is really good rum, and I kind of like having a bottle on hand to sip. So
to Freddie, especially to Freddie and Larry, who just had an anniversary.
that's true. They did just have an anniversary.
Yes, they did.
Woohoo! So happy anniversary! Thank you for thinking of us while you were in Cuba.
You want to show off our other?
It's a little hot, but the complexity of this rum. Oh. Excuse me, I'm going to have a moment here. Oh, that's... So your first taste has that little bit of overwhelming heat, which, God, what is the percent on this? It's only 45%, so it's only 90 proof, but you do get a little heat right up front, or a lot of heat right up front. Fades very, very quickly into this complexity. I get toffee notes off of this, especially. And there's a little bit of a hint of coffee, maybe, to this, just a whiff. Certainly some vanilla, but maybe not as much as you would expect from an aged rum. Spicy.
Oh.
There's almost a little black pepper in there. Yep. So what?
Sorry, we have to do another toast.
We have to do another toast.
Right?
Okay.
David and Chris's 50th anniversary was 19 days ago. So
Salud.
enjoy the boat life.
Expression of gratitude, similar to thank you for. No, I think aloha is probably
Aloha.
the greater.
Yeah.
You know, implying good feelings and love. So aloha,
Aloha.
David and Chris. This
Enjoy
is
the boat life.
this is definitely ono.
Mhm.
Yummy, good tasting, right? David and Chris are part of our ohana, trying to intersperse some, typical, not typical, classic Hawaiian words. Ohana is, it's kind of like family, but it's that close-knit kinship group that is both familial and chosen. So ohana to all of those people that are in part of our ohana. This goes out to you, especially those of you that have reasons to celebrate, because we need all the reasons to celebrate that we possibly can.
Absolutely. And I know you're just on the other side of the evil bridge, but there's a quarantine. So we'll see you next time.
So Star wanted me to also show off some of the other Havana clubs that we have. So we do.
Oh, Dana, you're evil. I am not using sea monkeys as a garnish.
Yeah, but she's not garnishing the drinks. I am. Yeah. No, sorry. Okay. Brine shrimp. No. Okay. So we do have some of the. This is probably actually more closely connected to the, more similar to this Havana Club, is the Havana Club 3-year, because the Havana Club Bacardi is probably aged 3 years and then charcoal filtered. This is aged 3 years. It's probably filtered. It's a little too clear to be anything other than probably charcoal filtered, but you can't really tell in this light. there is just a hint of a straw or yellow coloration to this. Once again, this has a distinctive different mouthfeel than the Bacardi Havana Club. This is a really solid white rum. Love this. If I could get this in this quantity on a regular basis, I probably wouldn't buy this anymore because I really like this particular rum. They do make dark rums. Woohoo! Here's your dark rums. So clearly not filtered. These haven't been aged a great deal of time. So the Añejo 7 años meaning 7 years. So this has definitely been aged 7 years. This darkness, so it's hard to tell because this is an amber colored bottle. So you're getting it looking a lot darker than what it probably actually is. And yeah, I would pour this into a glass, but I've got enough rum here. I don't actually need to pour myself another one. And I have a conference call early in the morning. Actually, no, I'm co-chairing a panel in the morning.
You're supposed to be in San Diego.
Yeah, right now we're supposed to be in San Diego. It's the weekend. It's the evening on a weekend in San Diego, and there are multiple really good tiki bars in San Diego. So Star and I are supposed to be in San Diego having tiki drinks. Instead, wait, we're at home having tiki drinks, so maybe not that different. So that's the Havana Club 7. We also have the Havana Club Añejo Reserva. This is not aged 7 years. Once again, it's hard to tell the coloration because of the amber bottle. This is probably what you would use in place of the gold version of this Havana Club, which I think I used the last of mine. I did.
I think you did. It's on the list.
It's on the list of things to buy because this I can't buy. Otherwise, I would change the gold version of this for this. Again, a little heavier mouthfeel, a little more flavorful. I'm not really sure entirely what the difference is in the sense of I know that both this and this are coming off of column stills, so they should be pretty clean rums. They should be very similar to one another. I know that there's some sugarcane differences, and I don't know to what extent they distill the proof up to and then bring it back down by dilution. It may be different between the two. And also the fermentation process is going to be fundamentally different, what strains of yeast they use. And don't get me started because I will go down that path and I will talk to you about yeast strains and fermentation periods. And then we'll talk about dunder pits and we'll talk about different kinds of stills. And then, pretty soon this has been a 3-hour-long conversation and I've had to make, multiple more drinks and I'm pretty blotto and not remembering what I'm saying. When we thought we were going to San Diego, my lovely wife bought me the following book so that I could read up on San Diego. Now, I lived in San Diego from 1976 to 1978. San Diego will always have a special place in my heart because San Diego is the place where I saw Star Wars for the first time. So, yay, San Diego. Love San Diego. Also, San Diego was the place that I got my first Sheltie, my pup. And I put my first obedience degree on him while I was in San Diego. Anyway, that's beside the point. Star got me this wonderful book, which is 90 years of classic San Diego Tiki, 1928 to 2018. This documents probably all, or at least most, of the major tiki establishments and minor tiki establishments within San Diego during that time span, and a great deal of the ones in Tijuana as well. And this is just a fun book to read if you are at all interested in the history of San Diego tiki. It talks about the people that were involved, the mafia that was involved, the restaurants that changed hands and evolved from one population to another. There's a significant portion of San Diego that really wouldn't exist without the sailing community, and that sailing and movie community in particular came together and was the impetus for a number of the San Diego tiki bars. Sadly, most of those are not still there, but there are a number of really, truly good tiki bars in San Diego, and I am profoundly sad that I have missed my chance this weekend to get to San Diego and do that
rest assured, we will remedy that in the future. So here we go. 90 years of classic San Diego Tiki, 1928 to 2018. Celebrating San Diego's Polynesian pop culture, tiki restaurants, bars, and cuisine by Martin Lindsay. And the foreword is by Sven Kirsten. Sven Kirsten is often credited for the modern tiki revival, not necessarily in the cocktails, that resides with other people, but just for the rediscovery of the art, sort of the mythos, and the impact that tiki had on culture from the 20s through the 1960s. Sven Kirsten is the man in that regard. And, 5 years ago, I couldn't have told you who Sven Kirsten was. And it is a tribute to how far down a rabbit hole I can fall once I find something that interests me. So let's go visit San Diego at some point and go have a number of really good tiki drinks. Hopefully we can do that in the future. And we're going to call this quits. This has been our 14th Quarantiki. So we are 2/3 of the way to being legal. Woohoo! Mahalo. Thanks for all of you tuning in. And we will see you hopefully next weekend. We'll do this again.